How do you keep fit and healthy? You might go to the gym, you might go for a run, you might do sit-ups and press-ups. When I was growing up in the Scottish Highlands, I really kept fit by playing sport, and as you saw just there, I always chopped wood. I spent all my life chopping wood. But now I'm older, I have found a much cheaper and better way of keeping myself strong. Being strong was something I always prided myself on. My friends called me the gorilla and the mountain in high school to do with my size and my strength. I used this size and strength most effectively probably, and something I was so proud of was the fact it allowed me to play rugby. I went from town to town all over Scotland playing rugby for my local team, first of all the way through high school, and then once I left high school I started to play for the first team. I started to play really well and start winning man of the match awards and going around the country beating some of the country's best amateur teams. I felt really strong. The physical demand of the sport, it caught up with me, and within a really short period of time I received 2 really serious head injuries. They shattered that illusion that I was somehow super strong and undefeatable and indestructible. In fact, it made me really unwell. I was sick all the time, I was really dizzy, I had really bad migraines. Eventually the doctor told me that I would never play rugby or any other contact sport again. I went from feeling really strong to feeling really weak. A good example of how I was feeling at the time is St. Peter in the Gospels. St. Peter does things that make him seem really strong and really brave. Like, he is the first to step out of the boat on the stormy waters, and he says that he would never let Jesus suffer. But yet, when it comes to him walking on the water, he ends up nearly drowning. And when he says that he's not going to let Jesus suffer, Jesus says to him, "Get behind me, Satan." And ultimately, in the moment when he should have been Jesus' truest friend, he crumbles and is weak and denies Jesus 3 times. Peter wasn't indestructible. Peter was in fact weak. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says something very interesting about Peter. He says to Peter, "Peter, you are my rock, and upon this rock I will build my church." Jesus said this knowing all the mistakes that Peter had already made, but also all the mistakes that Peter was going to make. But despite this, God chose to make Peter strong. Peter, he was open to God. He was open to God coming into his life and changing him and making him strong. Because of this, he was able to do amazing things, great things, even becoming a saint. Now, if God is willing to do this with Peter, despite knowing all his mistakes and all his weaknesses, imagine what he wants to do with you. You might feel weak, you might feel insecure, but Jesus is your strength. I invite you to strengthen your life with Jesus with me and take on this spiritual exercise. I am going to be making sure that I pray at the beginning and at the end of each day. We're going to begin and end our day in prayer. To do this in the morning, we're going to spend 10 minutes looking over the gospel for that day. This is easily found if we just do a quick Google search. At the end of the day, I'm going to spend 5 minutes of prayer. I'm going to do this to reflect on all the mistakes I've made, all the weaknesses I've made, and all the ways that God has made breakthroughs in my life, all the times He's strengthened me, and all the blessings He has given me for this day. Let's be strong. Let's find our strength in Jesus. Are you in?